This is an area that years ago there was a series of floods and they tore down all the buildings that were around here. They're all commercial buildings, and they created more of a floodplain in here. And there was some native structure on the back end, but it was really limited because most of the front was commercial, asphalt and buildings, little stretch in the back. And over time it's developed a little bit, and they might have thrown some seeds in here, but as you can see, huge amounts of teasel, and that's just one invasive species in here. About 2 years ago I was working with some folks in here. We made sure that none of the teasel in this stretch, which was probably close to a half mile, maybe longer, none of it flowered. We didn't allow any of it to flower. However, this is a city park and really a fiefdom, and they just shut us down completely. We pushed to do more, get more active in this area, and we wanted to plant a lot of stuff. And they talked to us one time in person, walked around, it was performative, and then a month later in their meeting in the Parks Board, they shut down the volunteer activity and refused to communicate anymore, except with some of their sycophants that are do-nothings. But as you can see, it is getting to the point where it's horrific. It's going to be in a year or two, this will just be a teasel forest, or just a teasel pasture. We've had a drought, a lot of stuff's not growing very well around here right now, but there was at one time. This is a nice little pocket, and it looks like about 60 by 40 feet or something like that, a little pocket. Quite a bit of native stuff that was starting to come in here. And as you can see, right now I don't see, there was a ton of milkweed in here. There's some popping up here and there, but it's starting to get choked out completely by this teasel. And Monarda is pretty prevalent in here. So all we can really do is hopefully collect the seeds and take them somewhere else. But just this, this teasel is horrific. This area really is a breeding ground and a refuge for every single nasty invasive that you can find. There's yellow parsnip in here. There's large populations of teasel, and Queen's Anne's lace is everywhere. That could be choked out. That does not like competition. All you'd have to do in this area is chop it down and plant this heavily, but that's not going to happen. It's just going to spread more. And as you can see, whole wall of buckthorn along here, and males mostly, which is a good, at least that's positive. But you know there's going to be a lot of females in here also. And chicory. As far as natives, there's some stuff in here as far as trees, walnuts, box elder, and I haven't seen any cherry or any interesting types of understory shrubs over here and understory trees. Other side they exist. Over here, nothing. So yeah, there's a bunch of creeping bellflower. You can see the purple flowers in there. So yeah, this is just a patch of Queen's Anne's lace along the edge. They mow it down and just create a perfect habitat for it. There is some milkweed in here. And yeah, if you just kind of cultivated this a little bit, you could have had some really nice ones. Well, fortunately, some white vervain. I kind of like that plant. It's reliable. Yeah, so through here, more and more just garbage. There's a population of asters in here that's pretty impressive, but it's going to get choked out over time. Tons of vetch everywhere. You see the flowers, tons of it just carpeting the ground. I guess the city likes that. So here, a nice little patch of milkweed and a bunch of asters mixed in. As you can see through here, it's like when you have some native structure in there, the invasives aren't as bad. Until the teasel gets over here, that'll choke it out. Just a matter of time before that crap over there spreads here. And yeah, there's clover, tons of it this year. It's doing very well. I mean, the only positive about that is like the bees like it. But you can see how big plants get. Yeah, teasel in here now. Now it's spreading. There was no teasel in here 2 years ago. Now it's moving in here. Just two big plants in there. So, yeah, nothing there. Yeah, clover's huge. That's easy to deal with. You just got to cut it down and make it compete with other things. But yeah, they mow it down, and The invasive species just dominate. So this is an area that we did take out buckthorn about 2 years ago in March, a little over 2 years ago. This whole section we took it out, and you can see it didn't come back, even anything that's underneath. It was really surprising here how quick the stuff underneath developed. But right now the vetch is starting to move in here. I don't see any teasel in here yet, just a matter of time. But you know, nice population of milkweed and a bunch of goldenrod. So yeah, this area was taken out for the buckthorn, and you can see it just really opened it up, because what it was this. You can see back there, just all buckthorn, 20 feet tall, nothing on the bottom, 20 feet up, all canopied, smothering it out. But these riparian stretches, they really bounce back if you clean them up, particularly if you have some native structure. Parsnip, cow parsnip, a little seedling of a walnut, which wouldn't have grown if we had left the burdock, but the buckthorn in here. Yeah, as you can see, just monster buckthorns along here. So this area, 2 years, nothing was done, and this could have all been cleaned up. The herbaceous, you'd have to deal with that in a certain way. The problem with these jurisdictions, like you've got to come in here if you want to deal with that. Is you need a weed whack and you just start knocking them down, and you have to plant. Once you get it under control, you have to plant a lot of stuff, whether it's seeds or primarily plugs would be ideal if you can water them. And you could choke all this stuff out, and if you stop the seed production, it's just going to take a while. Just takes a little bit of effort. And yeah, it's a big field. This is a different jurisdiction. They've been controlling the teasel in here, so fortunately at least this isn't so bad. And also the clovers that are popping up, but it's primarily just grasses and a lot of invasive stuff in there. Yeah, as I was saying, it's like we've had a massive drought this year, and really things are very, very small over here compared to previous years. Certain things are hanging on, but you can tell the natives do pretty well. They'll survive, but right now they're about a third of the size that typically are, if not even smaller. But this area is pretty clean because of a different jurisdiction. They're not going to tolerate the invasive species like this jurisdiction, this city does. It seems like they like them, because if you take a look at it, it's a refuge and a breeding ground for everything nasty in here. Everything that's found around here that you don't want is in this stretch right here, and it's in large numbers. It's not just one or two of them, it's like hundreds of them. So buckthorns, hundreds and hundreds of those. Honeysuckle, hundreds of those. Black locust, which is a problem plant around here. I mean, people have different opinions about that plant, but around here it's not native to this area, and it really can take over. Queen's Anne's lace, chicory, crown vetch. Also, there's a lot of borage in here that really shouldn't be in here. Burdock, hundreds and hundreds of those. Dame's rocket, the population in here is horrific. We're talking thousands, if not tens of thousands of plants in some areas. I don't know about 10,000s, but there's thousands. Yeah, the problem with this is, like, this whole area was taken back. There's a lot of grass here, so they want to make it recreational. And can we do a soccer field? They want to do something like that, baseball fields, things like that. But they don't have any money to maintain anything, really, because the fields, like baseball fields and soccer fields and things of that nature, yeah, there's hundreds of them around. They're very valuable. However, native structure is priceless. They don't see it that way, though. They probably mow this down and go right to the edge if they could put picnic tables in here. That's very, very disheartening that this isn't at least being taken somewhat seriously. They say they have plan for 3 to 5 years. In 3 to 5 years, they're going to say they have another plan for 3 to 5 years. So hopefully we can make some inroads in here, but it's at this point a political battle. It's just not, there's no cooperation with the city staff. The politicians will talk about all kinds of things that say they're important, but they won't do a damn thing about it. So it is kind of a political issue right now, because the only way it's ever going to be turned around or expanded and protected is through a resolution of the city to force the staff to do things. But the problem is the staff runs everything in this city. The politicians are basically just rubber stamping everything that the staff says. If they say they can't do it, they're not going to do it, that's going to be the city line.